Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli, the computer guy, over here for the Daily Blob. Where's that? What's going on, little noob? What's going on, little computer science graduate? Are you crying? Oh, little boy crying. World isn't quite what you thought it was gonna be. Oh, boo-hoo. Anyways, it's funny to laugh at the noobs. It's funny to laugh at the kids crying their eyes out because everybody's been lying to them. Somebody has been on YouTube for 16 years trying to explain reality and being told he was a jackass the entire time. Aw, you know how much sympathy I have for the people out there. So I think this is interesting just to talk about kind of the disaster currently going on in the employment market, in the tech world, especially for programmers. Look, I've been talking about this for a while. I think we had enough programmers probably about 2016, 2017, right? Before the latest iteration of quote unquote artificial intelligence. Back in 2016, 2017, we had enough tech employees. Right? Tech employees, we had enough. I've talked about this before where I was listening to one investor that really highlighted this about that time period. And he talked about how he invested in startup companies. And so basically he invested in startup companies and he would invest in 60 startup companies. Out of 60 startup companies that he invested in, he expected 2 to be home runs and something like 10 to be adequate. Something along those lines. Which basically mean 48 failed. 48 out of 60 startup companies were expected to fail. 48 startups of founders and employees and office space and resources and everything else basically were expected to go down the toilet. You think this is one investor talking that way, and then you can imagine how many people were working on completely worthless projects. Projects where either the time wasn't right, maybe they were too early to market, maybe they were too late to market, maybe by the time they got to the market, there were other competitors that have already burrowed in, maybe their ideas were just completely, utterly fucking stupid, maybe their business plan didn't work. Business plan. Anyways, right? That was the world that we were in at the time. I remember I was talking to an actual investor and realized how fucked up things were when I was talking to this investor because I was trying to figure this out. So I had money to spare at the time. So I was no longer interested in investing in the startup world. And then I took it all and put it into an index fund. Real world. I could invest in the next Facebook, but I'm probably not going to. So, a spider fund isn't too bad. Anyways, I was talking to this guy who was actually an investor, made money. And he was like, yeah, man, now with investors, we don't want to see business plans. Like, if you showed him a business plan, that was just a bridge too far, right? You had overthought about what you were doing. All he wanted to see to write a check was an executive summary. He literally said that. So, like, an executive summary is basically one page, maybe not even a whole page, less than a page, basically just stating what you think it is you're trying to do, what you imagine the market to be, and what your value proposition is. Like, if you had more than an executive summary, he just did not have time for that. And I've tried to talk about this over years, where basically we just, as I said, and this was 2016, 2017 when I started screaming about this. So this was long before the COVID boom and that idiocy happened. And so we have just been getting more and more people into the tech world for work that just doesn't need to be done. It's not that we don't need tech workers. It's not that being in tech is not a good career at the end of the day. It's just we don't need this many. We don't need this many. I think about that with a buddy of mine back in the 90s, right? California had not had enough EMTBs, right? So my buddy really wanted to be like an emergency responder type person. And so California at that time just did not have, so EMTBs are EMTs that work on ambulances. And so California came up with this program for free training for EMTBs. So EMTB is like about a semester course or whatever. You go through a lot, and depending on where you go, it's normally a couple of $1,000 to go through an EMTB program. And so since they needed EMTBs, they just paid for anybody who wanted to get the EMTB certification to get the EMTB certification. So my buddy gets in there, he works his ass off, he's top of his class for his EMTB class. He comes out, and then literally, and this is the real world, California had trained so many EMTBs at that period of time, it was worthless. He could not get a job doing anything with EMT, emergency medical, because basically California had gone from not having nearly enough to being awash with them. Right? It's not that people didn't need EMTs. It's not that ambulances went the fuck away. It's not that people put down the double bacon cheeseburger and fries and actually started taking a run. No, they had needed people, and then they overtrained for the positions that were available, and then, nobody cares. Oh, you wanted to be an EMTB? Yeah, nobody cares, because there's just not enough positions there anymore. So anyways, and this is one of the things to really be thinking about, like in the world of tech, is we've just been overtraining for years. We have been overhiring for years. And not only that, but the new generation of techs, I don't know what the hell they think they're doing. As I said, the most controversial thing that I say is that to be a technology professional, you need to figure out how to solve problems with technology. You don't understand. That's actually controversial. That shit's controversial. Oh, you think what I say about Israel is controversial? You think what I say about Trump or Biden is controversial? Fuck that. I will take that trolling any day of the week over the snot-nosed crap I get out of people for how dare I say that tech professionals use technology to solve problems and get paid for it. Eli, that's not the modern world of technology. But the interesting thing is, right? So for my generation, we were solving problems, right? Printer doesn't work. You fix the printer. File shares down, you fix the server. Internet's down, you figure out what's going on with a T1 line. Somebody's working remotely, you configure VPN or routing remote access services or whatever else, right? Back then, it was you knew what you were doing. You knew what you were hired for. The curious thing that I find with the modern generation is they don't know why they get paid. It's hilarious. You talk with these kids, and they're like, I want to program. Okay, what problems do you want to solve, right? I get some of these people, like, Eli, I want to be in the tech industry. So, okay, what do you want to do? Tech. Okay, do you want to program? Do you want to do sysadmin? Do you want to do training? Do you want to do recruiting? Do you want to do management? Do you want to do project management? Tech, Eli. What do you want your life to look like? Do you want to be traveling all over the world? Do you want to have a 9-to-5 job? Tech, Eli. Computers. Right, so we have this whole generation of new tech trainees, right, that are coming out that don't know their fucking ass from a goddamn network port at this point in time, as far as the technology industry is concerned. And we're going through the great economic kerfuffle, right, that has been going on since 2008. And so, surprise, surprise, we have all these computer science graduates that are coming out, and they now have worse job prospects than almost anybody else coming out with a degree, right? So apparently, they are the third worst coming out with pretty high unemployment rates. And I do kind of think it's interesting. Like, I think about this, having been in the field for a long time. So I was in India. So way back when, right? I was in India. And I was coming back. I'd spent 4 months backpacking through India, and I was in Mumbai, and I was going to this movie theater. And it's so weird, like this movie theater this old movie theater in downtown Mumbai, showing American movies. But anyways, at that time, it was this American movie with like Al Pacino, and it was about this like computer programmer or whatever. Anyway, so the computer programmer was like hired for the CIA or FBI. And they go through, and finally at the end of it, it comes out that Al Pacino was the bad guy, and he was using this computer programmer to like hack government systems or whatever. And the funny thing, this is fucking hilarious. So when the fuck was I in India? 2002? 2002? Decades ago, which is my new current buzz line or whatever. Anyways, decades ago. So it was like 2002 when I was in India watching this movie. And the hilarious thing was 2002. And so at the end, right, the young kid computer programmer is confronting Al Pacino, the evil guy. And then Al Pacino was like, why the fuck do you think you're here anyway? Do you think anybody gives a shit about you being a computer programmer? 2002. And he's like, what? And he's like, look, the other peers in your class or whatever, right? There's one's an expert in Farsi, and another is like an expert in nuclear energy, and another is an expert in something else. He's like, what the fuck do you think this is? Do you think this is fucking 1998? Do you think the agency gives two shits about a computer programmer at this point? That was the horrifying line. The computer programmer realizes in 2002 he's worthless. Anyways, you should go watch that movie. I don't know what it was. It was Al Pacino. There's like a computer programmer in there. And again, like there was this snarky guy that was his peer that was like a Farsi expert. Watch that movie. Watch that movie. Then realize it's 23 years after that. Anywho. So this is coming from MSN, but also a lot of other places too. Goodbye, $165,000 tech jobs. Student coders seek work at Chipotle. Chipotle. Hey, have you ever heard of this YouTuber? There's this tech YouTuber out there who talks about getting laid off of pizza delivery. Have you ever heard this YouTuber talk about, when he had Army experience and his college degree and his MCSE and a whole bunch of other stuff, and he got laid off of pizza delivery? Yeah, I remember that story. Since the early 2010s, a parade of billionaires, tech executives, and even US presidents has urged young people to learn coding, arguing that the tech skills would help bolster students' job prospects as well as the economy. Tech companies promise computer science graduates high salaries and all manner of perks. Remember the Obama administration? Remember Obama? There was a grant program under Obama that made me lose my goddamn mind. It was to pay for boot camps, for coding boot camps. And you're like, well, Eli, what, Obama was out in 2016, 2015, 2016. What's wrong with Obama paying for coding boot camps? Literally, this jackass of a president, it was for people who had graduated with a bachelor's degree. Obama was paying people that graduated with a bachelor's degree, literally stated the bachelor's degree was so worthless at the time that the government was willing to fund your computer programming boot camp training so that you could actually get a job. That's how it was. Quote, typically their starting salary is more than $100,000 plus $15,000 hiring bonuses and stock grants worth $50,000. Brad Smith, a top Microsoft executive, said in 2012 as he kicked off a company campaign to get more high schools to teach computing. The financial incentives plus the chance to work on popular apps quickly fed a boom in computer science education, the study of computer programming, and processes like algorithms. Last year, the number of undergraduates majoring in the field topped 170,000 in the United States, more than double the number in 2014. And that's what I wanted you to think about with the whole job prospects and the rest of it, right? So in 2014, they had about 85,000 people that were going through computer science programs. We now have 170,000 people currently in the computer science programs. So that's not all the people that have come before. It's not all the people that want to come after. That's just the people that are currently there. But now, the spread of AI programming tools, which can quickly generate thousands of lines of code, combined with layoffs at companies like Amazon, Intel, Meta, and Microsoft, is dimming prospects in a field that tech leaders promoted for years. The turnabout is derailing the employment dreams of many new computing grads and sending them scrambling for other work. Among college graduates ages 22 to 27, computer science and computer engineering majors are facing some of the highest unemployment rates, 6.1% and 7.5% respectively. So think about this. Computer programming and technology, that was the most in-demand field. We are now at a time period, so theoretically unemployment's at 4.2%. To be clear, that was a lie under Biden. It's also a lie under Trump. It's always a lie. But anyways, if you go by that, if the unemployment rate on average for the United States is 4.2%, that means they're 50 to almost 100% higher for computer science graduates. That is a hell of a thing. That is more than double the unemployment rate among recent biology and art history graduates, which is just 3%. Well, coders, get coders, I guess you better learn to art history. I guess if you had spent your time on a real profession, like learning who the fuck Michelangelo was, maybe you'd actually have a job. But because you wanted to waste your time with fancy computers, now you get to be unemployed. I do think that's also kind of funny with this whole jobs thing. Like whoever's winning in the jobs race are always arrogant jackasses that put everybody else down. And then when they start losing, they cry. Like I remember blue collar. I remember when blue collar was a place to be for a lot of folks. Blue collar was real men's work, and they were up there. People playing with computers. That was just kid stuff. And then they all got kicked out of their jobs. And the computer people, they're all making money. And they look at the coal people. Oh, I guess you gotta learn to code. And now the coders, they're getting flushed. So the next generation will be like, well, I guess you got to learn to Michelangelo. Anyways, in response to questions from the New York Times, more than 150 college students and recent graduates from state schools as well as private universities shared their experiences. Some said they had applied to hundreds and in several cases, thousands of tech jobs at companies, nonprofits, and government agencies. The other thing I want to remind you when we talk about this applying for jobs, remember, there's somebody on the other side. I keep trying to explain to you all that the employer, the boss, the manager, supervisor is a human being too, right? Be nicer to black people and bosses. If you're sending hundreds or thousands of resumes downrange, that probably doesn't bode well for you. Even if they need to hire a couple of people. It's like, hey, I need to hire 3 people instead of 1. And you get 3,000 resumes. What do you think your chances are? It's probably going to be pretty miserable. The whole way we do jobs nowadays is absolutely ridiculous. Prominent computer education boosters are now pivoting to AI. President Donald Trump, who in 2017 directed federal funding toward computer science in schools, recently unveiled a national AI action plan that includes channeling more students into AI jobs. Question from the Aspie and back. What the fuck does that mean? What exactly is an AI job? Remember that on the Biden administration? The Biden administration decided like there was going to be like a SAR for AI. Like every government agency was going to have like the head of AI. Not a head of innovative technology, not a head of improving efficiency and outcomes through modern technology, not a head, no, it was a head of AI. And as I keep bringing up, what exactly is AI, and is AI actually that valuable? As I talk about many times, right? Many times what we want is automation. How can we automate systems? How can we improve systems to require less basically people in the middle people in order to do things, right? We want automation. Most of the time we really don't care about AI. So it's interesting. Trump being like every other president, like, hey, AI jobs. Like, what does that mean? Does that mean he's gonna fund the support for people to learn RAG architecture, right? Is he gonna fund the support for, God knows what? What does it actually mean, right? Microsoft, a major computing education sponsor, recently said it would provide $4 billion in technology and funding for AI training for students and workers. And again, what does that actually mean? What does that actually mean? We're going to give a lot of money so you can learn this thing, so we can pretend you're not abjectly screwed. So this is basically just the world as it is. What did I say? The unemployment rate for new college graduates for comp sci or computer engineering, somewhere between 6.1 to 7.5% in an era of theoretical 4.2 unemployment rates. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's the reality. And the thing that you really have to consider is how many of these new students are coming out and they really do not grasp the fundamental concept that their job is to solve problems with technology. What's interesting, I was doing those one-on-one conversations, I just fucking lost my mind because like 90% of them was job. Like not solving problems or stacks or whatever else. I just need a job. And it was amazing, like, because one of the things I'd say is, you always have to keep working on projects. So I would talk with people and they come out of boot camps, they come out of their computer science programs, and it'd be like a year and a half. Eli, I've sent out so many resumes. I'll be like, okay, fair enough. And I just talked to him. He'd be, okay, well, what does your GitHub account look like? What? Well, what have you been adding to your GitHub account? Okay, have you done anything with your GitHub account in a year and a half? No. I mean, come on now. I mean, what's the point? What's the point of adding to my GitHub account if I don't have a job? It's like because that shows prospective employers that you actually care about technology and that you're actually interested, that you're seeing problems, trying to find solutions to those problems and implementing solutions to those problems, right? As I talked about before, I talked with the CEO of a development company years ago. And I asked him, from a development standpoint, right? So I'm a systems guy. So we had MCSE, CCNA, that kind of certification. So I was like, what kind of certification do you care about for your employees if you're hiring somebody? And he said none. He said none. It was actually a detriment to have a certification. And I was surprised. I was like, what? Why is that? And he said, because that shows what you think is important, right? He said, I run a development company. What I care about is creating products, creating code, apps, whatever else, and shipping that out the door, right? That's what's important here. So if you go and you spend all of your time to get a C# certification or a Python certification or a Node certification or whatever else, that shows me what you think is important. You think passing a test is important, when for me, what's important is that you can that you can see a problem, you can come up with a solution, and you can implement that solution. So he basically said, right, I want to see the portfolio. What I care about is a portfolio. And I've talked with so many of these people where I'm like, what are you doing on GitHub? It's 2025, what are you doing on GitHub? Well, Eli, let me tell you, I mean, these bosses nowadays, am I right? These bosses are such fucking morons. Eli, let me tell you, the corporate world is just so fucked. It's like, yes. But what are you publishing to GitHub? What project are you currently working on? And is there a reason that you're not publishing, your work to GitHub? Man, I mean, come on, Eli. I mean, what I'm supposed to sit here? I'm supposed to sit here and like do all of this work, and then I publish it to GitHub. Just so what? Some smart ass son of a bitch. So, I own a development company. Oh yeah, he's just gonna look at my code, and then like he's not gonna hire me anyway. Like why do I give a fuck about GitHub? I was like, you need to care about GitHub because that's your portfolio. In 2025, that's your portfolio. If an employer is looking to hiring you, they are going to go to your GitHub account and they are going to look at what you put on the GitHub. I've talked to recruiters, and it was very interesting. I talked to a recruiter when I was in Seattle, and he said it was very funny to him when he went to hire boot camp graduates, because basically what would happen is he would get these resumes from boot camp graduates, and the first thing that he would do is he would go to GitHub. And he said 90% of the people going through boot camp, right, as soon as they graduated the boot camp, he knew when they graduated, the day they graduated the boot camp, because that was the last time there was a GitHub commit, and nothing afterwards. And basically said he only talked to the 10% of the people that actually submitted to GitHub after the boot camp was over. You need to do a portfolio. Man, but the corporate world, Eli, see, this is the problem with capitalism, right? Eli, in capitalism, I'm supposed to do all of this work so I can prove that I'm valuable. And you're just like, what the fuck? Yes, that's what we do. Yes, that's what technology professionals do. Technology professionals have this itch, right? And you'll come home at night, right? You've been working all day, right? And you got your computer and you're staring at the damn thing all day and it's not working right, and it's not working right, and it's not working right, and it's not working right. And you come home and you see your wife and you're kind of dazed, can't fucking see straight, your brain's not working right, and your wife's like, how are things going? Like, oh, this project is just killing me. And you sit down, you're having dinner, and your wife's really nice. Like, well, why don't you relax tonight? Why don't we not have a nice little, watch a little movie or something, walk the dog, get it out of your head. You're like, yeah, I should do that. And then you're sitting there and you're like halfway through your meal. Yeah, I wonder. And then your wife looks at you, no, but I think. And then you throw your fork down and you go grab your computer like, And it's 8 hours later and you crawl into bed and your wife's like, okay, did you solve the problem? You're like, no. What? I thought I was going to solve the problem. And you're sitting there and you finally fall asleep. After a long day, like, because it's computers. So you just got a lot of physical energy, but your brain is dead. So it's really hard to fall asleep. And so you finally fall asleep. You finally fall the fuck asleep. And then like all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, what? And it's still dark. Yeah, you're like, oh. And then you grab like your phone, your clock, and you see you've only been asleep for like 3 hours. Like, fuck. Like, well, I'm awake. And you go grab your computer. And you tippy tap. Should you do that? Is that abject proof of the failed capitalist system? I don't know. But that's what real fucking technology professionals do. Right? My employees, when I good employees, right? It would be funny, right? I'd have an employee, we'd be working on something. They go home for the day, because we only worked them 8-9 hours or whatever. Go home for the day, wake up in the morning, be sitting there with a cup of coffee, talking with the guys, hey, what's going on? And one would be like, oh, I figured out the problem that we're running into yesterday. You're like, oh, how did you do that? And literally, well, last night I went home, had some dinner, spun up a server, loaded up all the configs, futzed with it for a couple of hours, and realized this was the config that we were fucking up, right? That's what technology professionals do. And that's the thing. We have so many people that want to get into this field and they don't really care about technology and they don't really care about solving problems and they don't really care about the brutal thing for all those whiny little bitches out there fucking complaining constantly about the failures of capitalism. Guess who doesn't give two fucks about the rest of humanity, right? No. Like, do they care about making anybody else's life better? No. Ironically, as they bitch about the capitalist system, they're selfish little fuckers. So they don't care about technology, they don't care about solving problems with technology, and they don't care about helping people with technology. But they want to come out and they want to get these six-figure jobs because their mommy and daddy and the president of the United States fucking lied to them. So anyways, these are some things to consider. We are going through, a down cycle in the tech world. Yep. It happens. What do you want me to tell you? It's interesting. I mean, you think about like these cycles. I've talked about this before. My father was a PhD engineer, industrial safety engineer. Literally, when he graduated college in the 1970s, there was literally an engineer's recession. The country was like, we're good for engineers, right? All this STEM shit you hear about now, in the 1970s, the country was like, we're good on engineers. We're good on engineers. Literally, that's why he ended up working for the government. Literally, the reason he went to work for the government originally is they were the only motherfuckers hiring engineers at the time. Like, that's the reality, right? One of my friends, he was a manager of the company I worked at when I was in the corporate world, right? He had done computer programming. In the 1980s, he had done computer programming. And it was funny because I was doing really well. I was literally making more money than he was at the same company because he was a general manager and I was a computer guy. And I was like, well, wait a minute, if you got a computer science degree in the 80s, then why the hell are you a general manager now? Why aren't you, because it was the dot-com boom. And he said, well, Eli, what you have to understand is in the 1980s, computer programmers made $20,000 a year because it wasn't seen as a very valuable skill set. And he said, I loved doing computer programming, literally loved it, but I had to pay the fucking bills. He said, I couldn't pay the bills in a computer programmer's salary, so I had to get a real job. Right? I've been through the dot-com boom and bust cycle. We had the Great Recession. Things go up, things go down. that's just how this whole thing works. So anyways, there you go. Another session of Eli the Computer Guy venting about the newest class of wannabe technology professionals. Solve problems. Make people's lives better. A cycle, because that's the other thing too, is what you have to understand, is all those people, they'll get washed out of our field, right? If you stay with the field, if you keep at it, if you keep improving, you add to your GitHub, you add to your portfolio, you do those types of things, time goes by, there will be new jobs in the future. And one of the nice parts is all these pieces of crap will be washed out. All these worthless, selfish, sniveling, wannabe tech professionals are gonna get washed the fuck out of the system. And then there will be more positions for the people who are left. And that's how it works. So anyways, seriously, for the people thinking about going to computer science or whatever else, why do you want to go into this field? If you want to go into this field just because of the money, it's a bad way to go. It's a bad way to go. You have to do this because you have some type of intrinsic, you like solving problems or whatever. I've talked about this before, right? If I say to be a garbage man, you have to, or garbage person, modern world, garbage person, you have to be a special type of person, right? People agree. Oh yeah, right? To be a garbage person, you gotta ride in the back of the truck, whether it's raining or whether it's snowing or it's really hot or whatever, you gotta go, you gotta grab the garbage, you gotta put it in. I mean, it's a no-brainer that to be a garbage person, you kinda have to have, there's something about you that allows you to be a garbage person, right? If you wanna be a police officer or a firefighter or whatever else, right? There's certain types of people that would be best for those jobs, right? I say that. And everybody nods their head, oh yeah, of course. And then I say, and to be in the technology world, to be a computer programmer or whatever else, right, it takes a special type of person. What, Eli? What, Eli? That's ridiculous. Anybody can learn to computer program. And I'm like, wait a minute. You agreed with me that it takes a special type of person to pick up garbage. But you think anybody can be a computer programmer? Of course, Eli. So anyways, as I would say to the young folks out there, find problems to solve. Build shit. Build your own website. Build your own AI apps. Build your own mobile apps. Go to nonprofit organizations. See what help and support they need, right? Things will get better, but it's gonna take a while. Right? Trump literally came out. Trump literally came out and said his policies are going to drive us into the second Great Depression. I mean, I'm kind of paraphrasing. and nitpicking, but that's basically, or cherry picking, but that's basically what he said. He literally came out and admitted his own policies are going to drive us into the second Great Depression. So what you really have to be thinking about is how are you going to move forward, right? Anyways, there are some things to think about. There are some things to ponder. Do you think about moving to cities that actually have tech industries? It's so cute. Like I had people come to Asheville, like they come to Asheville to meet me. Like they're supposed to be doing it to have a one-on-one session, but a lot of them were like, yeah, meet Eli. Anyways, but I get people, they'd be looking around Asheville. They're like, ooh, you moved to Asheville. Should I move to Asheville for my tech career? Like, no, fuck no. To be clear, I'm leaving Asheville. We are leaving Asheville. If you're in Asheville and you want a tech career, leave. That's what I literally tell my students. I had students, right? I had my classroom. For like over a year, I had my classroom. And then for a year before that, I taught students in other places. And they'd be like, okay, what do I do next? And it was like, move. Move. You cannot get a tech job if nobody is hiring people to do tech jobs. Like I don't feel like our kids learn how our system works. Our system isn't that complicated. They just don't really understand. What do you mean I can't get a tech job if nobody in my area isn't hiring tech employees? That's ridiculous. It's like, I don't know what to tell you. Anyways, there you go. So what do you think about this? What do you think about the unemployment rate for computer science and computer engineers through the roof? 6.1, 7.5%. What do you think about this being so much greater than the average unemployment rate. What do you think about 170,000 students currently going through computer science programs, double what it was in 2014? Do you think that makes a damn bit of economic sense? Do you think, wow, Eli's a bit of an asshole, but he's kind of right too? I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. Give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down, give me an amazing comment, give me a horrible comment. It's all an interaction as far as YouTube is concerned. Do remember silicondojo.com exists. We are doing fireside chats. We just did one with Sean Urbas, CTO and co-founder of an integrations company where we talked about integrating artificial intelligence into their systems. Tomorrow, my timeline, we're going to be doing the VP for AI models at IBM. He's going to be talking about what IBM is doing with artificial intelligence, models, and that type of thing. You can go to silicondojo.com. You can sign up. You can RSVP for free. Basically, they're Zoom sessions. So you come on. You're able to ask questions during the Zoom session. Blase, blase, blase. And with that, see y'all later.